Welcome to today's video on buying a home on a lean budget. We're going to explore why affordability isn't the same as qualification, how the 25% rule works, and the hidden costs that can derail your budget. We'll also look at valuation risks, future-proofing your living space, and why renting might be the smarter move right now. First, let's outline what we'll cover. Here's our roadmap for today. A reality check on affordability versus qualification, the 25% rule with examples, the hidden costs that often get ignored, valuation warnings that signal danger, future-proofing considerations for small units, when renting can be the smarter choice, a practical action plan to save faster, and a couple of quick quizzes. Next, a brief but important disclaimer. This video is educational and does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a licensed professional to evaluate your specific situation. With that covered, let's move into the core reality check. Affordability is not the same as qualification. If your take-home pay is around $1,800 a month, purchasing a high-cost city apartment could push you into a house-poor situation where housing costs wipe out your flexibility and savings. Approval from a lender does not guarantee that it's wise. Now let's quantify that with the 25% rule. The 25% rule simply states that your total housing cost should not exceed 25% of your net income. Total housing cost includes principal and interest, property taxes, insurance, and any HOA or condo fees. For example, if your net income is $1,800 per month, your maximum recommended housing expense is $450 per month. If you exceed that, you restrict your ability to save, build an emergency fund, and maintain quality of life. Next, let's convert this into concrete steps you can follow. To calculate real affordability, first determine your average monthly net income after taxes. Multiply that figure by 0.25 to find your housing cap. Then estimate the mortgage principal and interest using a reliable calculator. Add property taxes, homeowners insurance, any HOA or condo fees, and private mortgage insurance if your down payment is under 20%. Include maintenance, utilities, and a repairs buffer. Compare the total against your 25% cap. If the total exceeds the cap, that is a red flag. Comparison. Run a rent versus buy comparison using current interest rates and fees. Now let's visualize the decision flow. This flowchart begins by taking your net income and computing the 25% cap. It then estimates the full housing cost, including principal and interest, property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, and maintenance. The comparison step branches. If the total housing cost is less than or equal to the cap, you move toward pre-approval and inspections. If the total exceeds the cap, the diagram directs you to rent and save, build an emergency fund, increase your down payment, and reassess the market later. There is also a loop to periodically update interest rates and property prices. With the decision logic mapped, let's examine the hidden costs that often bust budgets. Hidden costs are the most common budget killers. Property taxes can add hundreds per month. Homeowners insurance is mandatory when you have a mortgage, and premiums vary. HOA or condo fees can significantly increase your monthly outlay, especially in buildings with amenities. Private mortgage insurance applies if you put less than 20% down. Maintenance and repairs should be budgeted at 1 to 2% of the home value annually. Utilities and internets, especially in older buildings, can be higher than expected. Now, let's run sample numbers to see the impact. This table illustrates a net income of $1,800. The 25% housing cap is $450. In the example, principal and interest are $520, property taxes $120, homeowners insurance $60, and HOA or condo fees $110. The total monthly housing cost is $810, which exceeds the cap by $360. As an alternative, we show example rent of $550. Estimated utilities of $120, and a target savings of at least $300 per month. Next, it's time for a quick quiz to check your understanding of the 25% rule. Question: if your monthly take-home pay is $1,800, what is the maximum recommended monthly housing cost under the 25% rule? Options are $450, $600, $900, or $200. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is $450. 1,800 times 0.25 equals 450. Staying at or below this amount helps maintain savings and flexibility.
Now, let's discuss valuation risk and why overpaying can be dangerous.
When a lender or appraiser indicates that a property is overvalued, for example by $20,000, treat it as a serious warning. Overpaying creates immediate negative equity, where you owe more than the property is worth. For instance, buying at $220,000 with a market value of $200,000 on a 95% loan to value leaves little cushion. During downturns, this exposure can compound losses and limit your ability to refinance or sell. Next, let's look at a recommended budget allocation to keep you on track. This pie chart allocates 25% to housing, 30% to essentials such as food, transportation, and utilities, 20% to savings and investing, 10% to debt payments, and 15% to discretionary spending. The visual emphasizes that housing should not crowd out savings or essentials.
Now let's compare renting now versus buying now on a tight budget.
On the left, renting now provides flexibility to move for career opportunities, lower upfront costs compared with a down payment, the ability to save aggressively, protection from unexpected HOA or repair costs, and the option to wait for better market conditions. On the right, buying now can limit flexibility, risk pushing your housing costs above 25% of net income, expose you to hidden costs like taxes, insurance, and HOA, increase the risk of negative equity if the property is overvalued, and small units may fail to meet future needs. Moving forward, let's discuss why future-proofing your space matters. Very small units around 38 square meters offer little flexibility. They can constrain the possibility of living with a partner, working from home, or accommodating a growing family. This lack of flexibility can force expensive moves or additional storage later.
Consider the equivalent rental cost.
If renting significantly reduces your monthly outlay, choose to rent and save.
Think beyond today's needs to include workspace, storage, hosting guests, and noise considerations.
Before we move on, here's a second quick quiz. Question: which set of costs must be included when calculating true monthly housing costs beyond principal and interest? Options are property taxes, insurance and HOA or condo fees, streaming services and gym membership, gas for your car and groceries, entertainment, and travel. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is property taxes, insurance, and HOA or condo fees. These costs materially impact affordability and must be included in your monthly housing calculation. With that confirmed, let's map a timeline for a save-first strategy. The timeline begins with the first 3 months tracking every expense, cutting housing to the 25% cap, and setting automated savings. Months 3 through 12 focus on building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, improving your credit score, and paying down high-interest debt. Months 12 to 24 emphasize growing your down payment toward 10 to 20%, researching neighborhoods, and practicing a mock mortgage by saving the difference between your rent and a realistic future payment. After 24 months, obtain pre-approval, wait for reasonable valuations, and only buy if your total housing cost remains at or below 25% of your net income. Now, let's lock in the core takeaways. Here are the key takeaways. First, affordability is not the same as qualification. Avoid becoming house poor. Second, keep total housing costs at or below 25% of net income. Third, always include taxes, insurance, and HOA or condo fees in your calculations. Fourth, pay attention to valuation warnings to avoid negative equity. Fifth, very small units can limit your future options. Finally, disciplined saving and good timing beat rushing into ownership. Next, let's summarize the full journey and your next steps. To recap, affordability is about maintaining healthy cash flow, not simply qualifying for a loan. Use the 25% rule to set a strict housing cap. Always run the full PITI plus fees before deciding. If the totals exceed your cap, rent and save to strengthen your position. Monitor valuations and resist overpaying. Build your emergency fund and down payment and reassess when conditions improve. Finally, let's close with a quick thank you and a call to action. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell us your biggest housing question or challenge in the comments, and suggest topics you want covered next. See you in the next video.